Hi guys, welcome to the shop. Hey, apologize for the last video, just a little sophomoric shop humor. So that was kind of fun. Do you hear that? Two things. That's rain and the sound of Bermuda grass growing. It's June in Oklahoma. It's been hot, it's been dry, it's been windy, and we were dry. It's been raining now all day and much needed. And like I say, you can almost hear the Bermuda grass growing. You can see it growing. I literally this morning saw it. Now it's late afternoon and you can actually see it. I'm going to talk a little bit about a plan that I drew. And my intent was to build a kayak rack or kayak racks to hold 2 kayaks. I originally conceived building a kayak rack, something like what I had seen on April Wilkinson's channel. She built a great kayak rack, so I started kind of drawing my own based on hers. It didn't take long though for me to have one of those epiphanies to where as I was building it, I went, I see a problem that I'm going to have, may not be everybody's problem, but my problem. And I then looked to something very common as a solution. So let me show you what that is, and we'll, they're already built, so you can't watch me build it. I don't do well trying to put a camera on me trying to work. I just can't quite get there, but I'll show you the finished project, I'll explain what I did, and maybe it will work for you. So let's take a look at it. Okay, this is the plan that I drew up based off of a similar plan that I saw, as I said, on April Wilkinson's YouTube channel. She built one. The problem, or the thing that I couldn't quite get around was she built 2 ends using a 4x4 or a 6x6 support post and then put 2x4s on either side. That's not the problem. The problem then is joining the 2 together. You end up with a very long feature that, unless you have 2 people to move it, it will torque in the middle and it'd just be hard to move. So I came up trying to improve upon it. I then said, okay, I'm going to build them this way. I'm not going to use 4x4s. I'm going to use 1 2x4. I'm going to then build these supports, one for the bottom, one for the top, and this will be on the ground. And instead of using diagonal braces, I wanted to use metal shelf brackets, the heavy duty kind, not the light kind. Still didn't solve my problem about the 2 ends torquing, if you try to move it. Suddenly, I had one of those epiphanies where I why do it that way? Why not do it this way? Let me show you what I did. What I originally did is I brought my kayaks that I was going to be storing. They are Hobie Outback kayaks. They're relatively heavy. They're, I think, dry weight, about 70 pounds a piece. I brought them in and put them on these 2 sawhorses that I made I brought one in to put on this sawhorse to get the dimensions on and kind of figure my angles out. There's some leftover 4x4 posts that I was going to use per the April Wilkinson plan. So I had them in here, turned it upside down, was doing some measuring, make sure I got the angles and everything right. Came up with then the dilemma about if I build 2 ends like she did and then join them together with 2x4s. So good if you have to leave them in place, but if I have to move them, it would take 2 people. And I'm going to be storing them outside of my shop. I'm not going to have them in here. They're actually going to be just outside of this wall right here. There's a shed on the side of the barn, and that's where they were going to be stored on gravel. And I'm all the time moving tractors, welding equipment, various things like that out there. So I was faced with the dilemma. I need to be able to move these. here's what I did. While my solution became evident, I had them sitting on a pair of sawhorses to gain dimensions, and I already had 2 freestanding ends. What I then opted to do is put an upper deck on it so that this one can be moved independent of this one. And they're very sturdy. I used those heavy-duty shelf brackets as bracing, as well as, you know, some triangular bracing down at the bottom. You can see that. I used the I used the sawhorse brackets that you can buy. They're like $8 a pair. And so I had $8 in this sawhorse, $8 in that sawhorse. That bracket was, I think, $10 for that one. And then 2x4s, I think there's like 3 8-foot 2x4s in each one of them. So they're relatively inexpensive. I built them all using outdoor Kreg pocket screws, and all the joints are also glued. And I wanted a little bit tighter and more rigidity up at the top. So instead of just having 1 2x4, I laminated those 2 and then pocket screwed them. But they're sturdy. I can move them. As you can see, this shed is a dual duty or quadruple duty shed. I've got a welder, tractor, side by side, the new kayaks that stay on the trailer, and then the travel trailer out there actually gets parked in here. So it gets pretty tight, and I needed something that I could move around if I needed to. And while working on it, I had them on a sawhorse, so I said, that's gonna be my final solution.